The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NiDCOM, has called on Nigerian citizens living in Ukraine to remain calm amid growing fears that Russia could invade the country. Chairman of NiDCOM, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, has assured that the Nigerian Embassy in Kyiv, Ukraine, is doing all it can to ensure the safety and security of all Nigerians in that country. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops are now preparing for war at Chernobyl, abandoned since the world was nuclear disaster there 3 decades ago. Satellite photographs show Russian camps being established close to the border with Ukraine. If Russia were to invade Ukraine, the Chernobyl exclusion zone is a possible conduit to the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. Joining me to discuss this is public affairs analyst Muyiwa Ogunlaja. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, my dear. Good morning, listeners.
Right. Let's begin with the situation on the ground between Russia and Ukraine. Yeah. There seemed to have been a build-up last year with regards to this. Nothing happened. And intelligence reports now is saying that the president, that's Vladimir Putin, has not mentioned either an invasion. He has not said anything. He has not made a move. Why are there agitations? Why are people worried?
Thank you. In international relations, we must know that there are no permanent interests, there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, right, but permanent interests. And if you take a look at what the president said about 2 weeks ago, that this country will take appropriate retaliatory measures, be it military or technical, against any interest that will engineer Western powers into coming to Russia. You can also see that the two countries, Ukraine and Russia, happen to be members of the defunct Soviet Union.
Absolutely.
Which became defunct in 1991. And instead there have been this tussle of power between the two countries. Basically, who is more powerful? Who should be the president number one or president number two? And that has not gone well. But basically, this one started not just last year. It started from the year 2014, when the Russian soldiers and Russian troops, when they annexed that Ukrainian peninsula, and then Ukrainians did not take it lightly, would not want their country to be turned into another colony. And that's not alone. You see that Russia is very careful. Ukraine wanted to be a part of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And Russia knew that if Ukraine becomes a member of NATO, that means all Western powers will be together with Ukraine, and that means all of them come together to fight Russia. So Russia did not want that to happen. And unfortunately, Ukraine had been placed as what's called standby member, meaning anytime anything happens, Ukraine is considered as a member, and all forces will support Ukraine, and Russia will be in trouble. So Russia actually knew what it was doing. Then it must also note that when the former president of Ukraine, when he was ousted, the Ukrainians believed that there was this separatist movement that cropped up then. The Ukrainians believed that it was the handwork of Russia, and they were the one fueling this separatist movement. Therefore, they never wanted peace in Ukraine. That was their thought. And Russia, as you know, there is a saying that no world power will want another world power to evolve unless through war.
So
Ukraine is a world power in the wings now.
Ukraine is a world power, and
Russia will not want this.
Russia will not want this. What Russia is doing invariably is sending a message that it is prepared. That is what.
Yes, prepared. The head of the armed forces did say that we are not preparing for war. That was a normal preparation. But from what President Biden mentioned, that from the look of things, Russia seems to be very set for war. And one will not say they are not set, because almost 100,000 soldiers, of Russian soldiers, are already the borders of Ukraine.
Yes. And
because of that, America too was getting prepared. Just of recent, about 1,700 soldiers were moved to Ukrainian border. And the US is trying to bring another 1,000. Presently in the Mediterranean area, near Romania, which is called very near to Ukraine. So all the countries are mostly no. My only prayer is that nothing will happen. Because if it does,
right.
Others have wondered what will happen to Russia will be a child's play to what happened to when the mother of all wars took place.
World War II.
Well, no, the mother of all wars. That again against Iran-Iraqi war.
Right.
Iran-Iraqi war.
Okay.
You know, Iraqi was totally devastated, and I hope that will not happen. I hope Russians will take it and will not just.
But from what you see, do you think that President Vladimir Putin would want to have a total inroad in terms of invasion, or it might just be partial?
Actually, he wanted to have complete invasion. But having seen what NATO members are doing now, especially the pinpoint stand of US that they will not leave Ukraine alone, I'm sure they will have a rethink. They will have a rethink. No country wants no leader wants his country destroyed, except those who are selfish. And I don't think that President Putin is a selfish leader. Now,
you've been talking about the U.S. and its response. And the Pentagon deployed about 3,000 additional U.S. troops to Europe, responding to the crisis, including 1,700 to Poland, in addition to 85,000 U.S. troops already in Europe. And we also see a response from Germany too, who are talking about having a diplomatic solution to all of this. But there are those who are saying that the window for a diplomatic solution seems to be closing. Is that what you see?
Well, yes, I want to believe that it seems to be closing, because almost all nations in most nations in Ukraine are beginning to reduce their presence. UK embassy has actually moved out non-embassy staff back to UK. US has already done that. Even number of foreign staff has been reduced. So other countries have already done that, to the extent that if there's war, US is ready to evacuate all the citizens because the number has been greatly reduced. So same to America, same to UK, same to America, same to Canada. So which means, and before that could be done, they will have seen signs that perhaps no diplomatic solution to this. And it is the strong-headed nature of President Putin that is causing this for now. But I will not blame him. No country wants another country to challenge its power, especially when you belong to the same union before and when you are seen as a bigger brother. Now you are in distinct countries, and they want to be on equal terms, which Russia would not want.
But if that diplomatic window is open, do you think that there could be some solution?
Definitely there could be some solution. There could be some solution. For instance, I know that although that should be very difficult for Ukraine, if Ukraine makes any pronouncement that, okay, we are not joining NATO, we are not joining the European Union, Russia will relax. That's number one. Right. Number two, Russia did say that if NATO goes back to the pre-1977 borders, that they will not question any other authority. That's number two. Number three, Russia actually said that there was an agreement that was signed in 2015 between Russia and Ukraine when the 2014 war took place, and they annexed the Crimean Peninsula, and that if they obey that pact, that perhaps they will throw in the towel. So, and at the same time, Ukraine believe that as an independent, as a sovereign nation, no other nation can dictate to what to do.
What to do, right.
But as I said, in international politics, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but permanent interests. So, if they are both interested in survival of their individual nations, then they can come together, throw in the towel, and let reasoning prevail.
Well, the issue of trust will come, because it seems that a majority of the world leaders do not trust
Russia. Yes. That's correct, but at times you take some risk. When you don't trust someone, give the person the opportunity to prove himself right or wrong. Perhaps if Putin is given the opportunity to put himself right or wrong, it will show the world that yes, they can be taken for his words.
Right. Let's also look at the aspect of what the U.S. and its allies are also trying to do. They are threatening stiff sanctions
against
that could cripple Russia's oil and gas exports, amongst other things. And I'm wondering if you see Russia perhaps seeing that as something that could make it also soft pedal with regards to what's going on.
It depends on the will of the people. that action could strengthen them and make them more committed towards dealing with Ukraine. Some countries will see it as a way of pushing them to doing what they never wanted to do. You know, in international politics, at times, when national actions are taken, you want to stand your own and say, okay, we cannot be cajoled. We are distinct nation. We are a sovereign nation. Therefore, let our sovereignty be respected. So it depends. But if that is done, if that is just said as a statement that can make the nation can cajole Russia, yes. If it's not meant. But if we really wanted to do that, that means Russia will be destroyed. And when you are down, you don't fear any fall again.
Right.
If your economy has collapsed, you are down, what are you waiting for? Then go to war. That will be it. They say that, let's go to war. Then let's who die there. In the process, let's destroy the economies too. And that will affect Ukrainian economy, it will affect American economy, it will affect most of members of NATO, and it will affect the entire world.
How so? Because that's the next question I was going to ask, because there are concerns that the implication for this Russian invasion could be far-reaching. Definitely. So perhaps, just help us better understand what's the repercussions.
I will let you know. Number one, Nigerians, there are many Nigerians in Ukraine. Do you know that most of 10 out of every 15 doctors in Nigeria now who train abroad are from Ukraine? You go there to go to the medical school. Before you stay, you are back. No strike, no excessive payment, no disruption, no lecturers asking you to come and get your marks. You just do it and get back. And by the time you come back to Nigeria, you just do the acclimatization course of 6 months and you are a doctor. And they are very good. Number one, to affect those Nigerians. Number two, some Nigerians who are doing business there will have to come back home. And when you do, there is no way you will be moved from your base to another place that will stabilize immediately. Especially with Nigeria, with African leaders, African countries. When they come back to Nigeria, the only thing they will give them is money to survive for about a week, accommodation for about 1 month. After that, you are thrown to the streets. Then, and these are people who are already living big in Ukraine.
All right.
It will affect them too. What about our exports? Ukraine and Nigeria have very strong ties in terms of trade. You can only make transactions if there is peace. So what would they want to get from us when there is war? What they will do from us, there will be ammunitions. Are we producing any? No. We are not. Then it will affect our economy too. So, and that is what it will affect, it will transcend to other economies and it will affect the entire world. And by the time you start hearing boom, boom, boom here and there, you are moving into the atmosphere. Ordinary COVID came from Wuhan in China. Before you see Jack Robinson, the entire world was caught. What about now? Missiles coming out with chemical weapons, and by the time you see what is happening, the entire world will be covered, and perhaps there will be another Omicron, or we call it Russia-cron, or Ukraine-cron, if you are not very careful. Now, that is important.
Right, but now that NiDCOM is saying that Nigerians should stay calm, and that they are seeing to ensure that they are fine where they are, so to speak, basically. But some other countries have even begun to tell their citizens, evacuate, leave the country. Is that what we should be looking at, or Nigerians should just remain?
Well, number one, I want to commend Nigerian Diaspora Commission for coming out with that assuring statement. Though that advisory came at the appropriate time, and it has actually helped them to know that you cannot be doing what's called jamboree traveling in Ukraine now, stay where you are, especially go to the distant part of Ukraine. But that is not enough. And thank God they have opened a website where Nigerians can go and do what and register, which means that for this, Nigerians, perhaps there is no register of Nigerians in Ukraine in Nigerian Embassy. Right. I'm not saying so. I would say if there is, why are you asking them to come and register again? So it means you have a lot to do in our foreign embassies. So, and thank God that now that they are going to be registered, we will know that the Nigerians here, they have their contacts.
Their database.
So if there is need for evacuation, by the time they come back to Butera Memory Airport and they take roll call, we will know those who are still there, who are not in Nigeria, because already they have their names, because they have been there to register. As at now, I don't think there's any Nigerian in Ukraine who will not go to register. There is none, and you don't need to leave your house, just go to the website.
Online
and register. And there are no Nigerian parents in this country now that do not want to know how to contact their wards over there. So already that has been opened, and that I want to commend the commission for. But aside from that, it's not enough. The government must be ready to quickly move Nigerians out of that place if they are the war. Because during war, all is fair. Whether you are from Russia or you are Nigerian, you are this, nobody is spared. You can't say what will happen. It is important.
Right. Speaking about if there is war, if Russia moves into Ukraine, full force, making full invasion, what do you see? Paint us a picture of what you see happening.
You see, if you look at the statistics, the Russian troops now, we have about 300 million, whereas a Ukrainian troop about 100 million, that 1 million, 100 million, just about up to 1/3 of that of Russia, which means in terms of man size, in terms of manpower, Russia will overrun Ukraine before it's democracy. Unfortunately, Ukraine belongs to a group that has all the might. NATO group, consisting of UK, US, Canada, France, and some other very strong nations. If all this now come together to say, you cannot muzzle a member, I will be member, not a member yet, I will be member of our friend, then Russia will be in trouble. And that means that there will be equal power, and that the troop size will be destroyed. And mind you, Russia is not alone. No matter what, there will be some countries that will come to the assistance of Russia, that will support Russia too. And it will likely be the beginning of the Third World War. So I want to say it will be like Russia destroying Ukraine. That's certain because of their might. And even those who are going to assist Ukraine, we want to come to Ukraine to assist. That means Ukraine will be turned to theater of war. Any assistance coming there, any war you are coming there, whether minus or plus, that country will be destroyed.
In fact, there are those who have already begun to talk about the numbers of those who will be affected on the side of Ukraine if this happens, if there is a war situation. At the end of the day, they are looking at the humanitarian situation and every other thing. And I'm wondering if this is something that perhaps Vladimir Putin is even also considering, the humanitarian situation.
You see, some leaders are very stubborn. That's number two. Not all leaders have people who are very, who will tell them the truth as their advisors. Perhaps the man is not in touch with the reality. Although an average Russian is strong-willed, believes that nothing should happen to their sovereignty, and they can die for that. So because of that, they are likely not to it's not likely to subpedal. But if international bodies quickly come in, if UN quickly come in, if these countries are quickly called to a round table and they are made to see the effects and what the people will suffer from, they are likely to have a
and do you think they will call that round table? Do you have that round table discussion?
It's likely. It's not impossible.
All right.
It's not impossible. It's likely. Especially if it is to protect human lives.
Right. Let's leave the conversation here now. Public affairs analyst Muyiwa Ogunlaja. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, my dear.
Right.